this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Go check out my website at skyazrael.com. It's bright and early, daily discipline, mind, body, and soul. This is how we get through. Sunday morning, I like to do my little study group for warriors. If you're new to the channel, Sunday is the day that I get down with a little bit of extra message. I try to cram in as much as I can at once, just to give you guys something to marinate on, something to think about. I got a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. First couple things I want to talk about are kind of relationship and family oriented. Just because I was thinking about that stuff earlier in the week. I think it's important to be a strict parent. I didn't have strict parents. And I witnessed many other kids when I was young that did have strict parents. And I liked my freedom at the time. Oh, I felt very adult. I looked at kids who had all these rules like they were babies. And I was more mature than them because I could go where I wanted, do what I wanted. I didn't have a bedtime. There's nobody that's going to bop me on my head if I come home after the street lights go out. There were no rules in my house. Eat if you want to eat. Don't eat if you don't want to eat. You know, there was nothing. Nobody was telling me time to clean your room. Nobody was telling me do this, do that. I wasn't getting spanked. Never got spanked once, never once. I never got in trouble. It's because my mother didn't believe in that kind of stuff. She was a hippie. She was too weak. I didn't have a father around. If my father would have been around, it would have been a whole different story. I had other buddies that grew up the same way. We kind of bonded together. Where they had a buddy of mine, he lived with his dad. He lived a couple houses down from me. His dad was just like my mother. There's one of these hippies, and they were kind of hands off. Just let the kid do whatever they want. Who cares if they go to school? You don't want to go to school? Don't go to school. It's up to you. You know, I mean, this was the type of parenting that we both had. His dad was just like my mom, just completely checked out. We both had a hard life. Everybody that I've ever known as a kid that didn't have a strict home life, that didn't have it, that they had a hard life. Hard time getting jobs, hard time finding relationships, hard time supporting themselves, hard time with mental illness, hard time with addiction, hard time with discipline, a hard time with everything. And they had a hard time with it throughout most of their entire lives. You really learn a lot when you're young. Being a strict parent, if you have kids out there, you're doing your kids a service. You're honoring your child, the future version of your child, this adult, the king that your child could become. You're honoring that by being strict when they're young, by putting rules on them, putting order in their life, managing the fuck out of them. And I'm not talking about being a helicopter parent where you're overprotective. Don't get strict parent and overprotective parent confused. Let your kid go play. Let your kid go play with other kids and learn how to navigate this world. Let your kid commute across town. You know, you don't have to play chauffeur all the time. Let your kid solve their own problems sometimes. You don't always have to come running to their rescue. But I think being a strict parent is being a loving parent that prepares their kid for the future. Let's move on. Say how you feel or forever hold your peace. That's a rule that I use within relationships. Say how you feel. Tell me how you feel right now. Speak up when the time is right, when it's happening, not 6 weeks later, not 6 months later. Don't come at me with some bullshit about what happened. Say it now. And I'm that way. I'm not gonna rehash old conversations. It's water under the bridge. You have to confront stuff while it happens, and this is the way I am. I can't sleep until we get to a point of calm in our conversation. I can't go to sleep angry and yelling and mad. We have to solve the problem, and that means communication. You solve problems through communication. So that may mean that we have to figure out how to detach from our rage or our anger or being upset in whatever way that we are, and to be able to have a rational conversation to get to a point of solutions. I'm about solutions. If you just want to vent and go nuts, go get a therapist. In a relationship, it's a partnership, and partnerships come together for solutions. Let's move on to the next one. The best way to attack problems of any kind is to break them down into micro details so you can address them without being consumed by them. So if you're looking for solutions, find the smallest solution first. What can we agree upon? You know, what is there? Is there any common ground? Can we make any concessions? Or have we just hit a brick wall and the relationship's over? Find the micro details, and that can be the glue that holds you together. You get enough little micro details that you can solve, that you can break down these problems. This is how we diagnose anything. And you break it down into little problems, little micro details, and then you solve each one of those. You put out each one of those fires. Little small fires are easier to put out than big fires. I want to encourage you guys out there, especially people who are like me, who enjoy self-isolation. This has been on my to-do list for this last year, and I don't know how well I'm accomplishing it. The year's almost over, so it may go on to my to-do list for next year too. But find your gang, find your crew, your community, your people. Who are your people? I'm not just talking about random friends. Fuck your friends. I don't give a fuck about your friends. You need to create yourself a little mob, an inner circle. All you need is about 3 or 4 good people, ride or die motherfuckers. They don't have to be exactly like you, but they should be on the same plane as you, moving forward in the same way as you. So when somebody, when you're all marching together into battle, and if somebody starts to stray, you can grab them by the collar and be like, homie, this way. Stay on path, stay in step. We need friends like that. If you just isolate all the time, you go crazy. You don't have anybody to bounce your ideas off of. You need that. That's a psychological part of our evolution, is to be able to bounce ideas off of people. This is how the human animal has evolved. So find your gang. I'm looking to build my gang. That's definitely something I'm looking to do. Got to skip over some of this stuff. This video is going to be way too long if I go through everything. Trouble forces the gazing to focus. That gazing eye that you have, where you're just kind of taking it all in, is usually something that you engage in. You're in that expansive view when you're happy, when you're in your moments of bliss. You're not laser focused when you're in your moments of bliss. Your view is wide angle. You gaze out at a landscape. You sit at the beach and gaze at the sun. You're not focused, laser focused on it. Trouble forces the gazing to focus. Think about it this way. The hardest stone, granite, sharpens the blade. You put your blade against the hardest stone to sharpen it. Trouble forces the gazing to focus. Trouble is what makes you stronger. Let's move on to the next one. Success isn't profit, it's praise. And I don't mean praise meaning that others praise you. I'm not talking about validation. Profit is validation as well, right? We can look at it as validation. Profit, you get profit out of something, that's your validation. Many times in business, you don't get a thank you. Thank you, sir, your business is so great. You don't get a thank you. Your thank you is those dollars that motherfucker's giving you. That pile of green money right there, that's your thank you. That's your validation. Success. It isn't profit. It's praise. Praise in a higher power. A disciplined faith. You don't need public approval. Let me go to the next one. You'll understand it. I'll go to the next one. You're going to understand what I just said when I go to the next one. A degree doesn't make you a teacher. A ring doesn't make you a husband, or if you're a woman, a ring won't make you a wife. A gun won't make you a gangster. Money won't make you happy. It's in you or it isn't. This is the idea of the king in the cave. A king doesn't need a kingdom in order to be a king. A true king, it's in you. A real gangster, it's in you. You don't need a crew. You don't need a mob. You don't need nothing. A real gangster, it's in you. A woman doesn't need a ring to be a wife. A ring doesn't make a woman a wife. She's a wife because those are qualities that she has. Some women aren't wives. They don't have the right qualities, just like men. Some men aren't fathers. Just because you spit a child out of your dick doesn't mean you're a father. You were a father before you had that kid. Be a king in a cave. Have you ever escaped? That's the next question. Have you ever escaped? You ever escaped anything? I'm not talking about left, where you're just like, fuck it, I'm out of here. I'm not talking about leaving. Leaving is usually bitterness and anger. Escape is fear and courage. It takes courage to escape. You're afraid and you're courageous. There's some motherfuckers that they don't escape. They're too afraid to escape. That's why it takes courage. The combination of courage and fear, when you escape, this is a heroic act. You can escape a relationship that's too abusive. You can escape a town that's too fucked up. You can escape a mindset of negativity. You can escape the ghetto, extreme poverty. It takes courage and fear. Going off into the unknown. Saying, I don't care what happens. This may kill me. I may die on this journey, but it's better than where I'm at. Let's go to the next one. I know this video is getting a little bit long. I'm going to try to bust through these last two. I'm skipping over a lot. I hope people are still with me. If I still got one motherfucker with me, we're doing good. By now, I thought I would be further. That's a tough one. That's like a knife in the side. We all have this game of supposed to. I was supposed to be further in life. I was supposed to be further on the path. I was supposed to be rich by now. I was supposed to be married by now. I was supposed to have kids by now. I was supposed to have everything worked out by now. That's a tough one. It's just about the daily grind. If you're grinding daily, it's not about the destination. You may never get there, and that's not a curse. I'm not saying that to depress you. You may never get there. But it's about the daily grind. You know, sometimes, here's the next one, sometimes you have to go crazy. I mean, real crazy. Psychopathic fucking crazy. So only about 3 or 4 of you people know what I'm talking about right now. Some of you guys think you do. I'm talking real crazy. Sometimes you have to go real fucking berserk on fools to let them know that you're anointed, that you were chosen by God, that you are not to be fucked with. What does anointed mean? Anointing is the adversity that you have been put through in order to test you to see if you're worth a shit. This is your prospect period. This is your initiation. And sometimes you got to go crazy to show a fool that you're a king in a cave. You ain't no sucker. You may be in rags, but you're a king. The last thing I want to mention is a warning. I like to help people level up. I'm here to help you level up. But new levels bring new devils. Each level is going to have an obstacle. You played video games before. New levels bring new devils. I could talk about that for an hour and a half. Have a good day.